Welcome to the bulletin. Ghanaians will soon be paying 4 newly introduced taxes, which the government is hoping will shore up its efforts at boosting the economy. The economy has been badly hit by COVID-19 as many businesses have received shocks from restrictions imposed to deal with the spread of the virus. Parliament last night passed the Sanitation and Pollution Levy, the Financial Sector Cleanup Levy, the Energy Sector Recovery Levy and the new COVID-19 Health Levy. But that wasn't without some disagreements. Here are excerpts of proceedings.
I refer you to the budget statement, page 59, paragraph 260. Speaker, the impression as created in the budget statement was that the government intends to increase the price of petrol and diesel by 20 pesos. 20 pesos, petrol and diesel. But the Speaker, strangely, the bill before us intends to increase the prices of petrol and diesel by 20 pesos for the purposes of Energy Sector Recovery Levy and, Mr. Speaker, 18 pesos per kilogram of LPG. Mr. Speaker, the budget statement did not mention an increment in the LPG for the purposes of the payment of the Energy Sector Recovery Levy. But strangely, when the bill was sent to us, through the back door, the government has imposed an 18 pesos increment in every kilogram of LPG that we buy. So, Speaker, I believe that that is not in order, because, the Speaker, that was not the intention of government.
Speaker, I just want to draw the attention to the fact that the gas levy was in the memo, and that it was part of the cabinet memo that was sent to cabinet. And cabinet has given us the approval. And in the figures, the fiscal tables too, the amount that we will raise from the gas is in there. We pointed it out to them. And that, in addition to the fuel, the petrol, is 661 million Ghana cedis. So Ministry of Finance has not sneaked anything through the back door. It is in the budget statement.
What she said is true, it's all true. We were there, we understood it. So it's surprising that he's raising the dollar. Mr. Speaker, put the question and let's get going, because we got all mixed up completely.
I urge my colleague, my colleague Honorable Abina, to show me where in the budget statement, that says that you are imposing 18 pesos in the increment for the purposes of increasing the LPG. Mr. Speaker, it is nowhere in the budget statement. Show me where in the fiscal table that says that you have increased 18 pesos for LPG. Mr. Speaker, show me. Mr. Speaker, simply put, this is an imposition of tax through the back door. This is an imposition of tax through the back door.
To be standing in Parliament, debating on a tax that is evident, on the face, and on the committee, if we explain, to say that we are imposing tax by the back door, he should honorably withdraw. If it was a back door, you would have seen it. You have seen it, it has been discussed, you have accepted, you have written a report, and you are still talking about back door. What kind of back door is this?
I said it is through the back door for a simple reason. The Speaker, the simple reason is that this budget statement.
Hold on. Honorable,
Pointed it out to them on page 210 of the budget.
Appendix 3B.
Under other revenues, Appendix 3B, yes. It says the Delta Fund, 666,256,700 Ghana.
Yes.
The petrol and the gas.
My colleague has said nothing. The Speaker, she said nothing. So, Mr. Speaker, Delta Fund is the Energy Sector Recovery Levy. And already you said the Energy Sector Recovery Levy, you are imposing 20 pesos. I would have thought that she's pointing out to the fact that you have already indicated that you are increasing the levy for LPG. So, Speaker, that is not the case. She said nothing. But there's nothing like LPG increase of 18 pesos. So, Speaker, I stand by my argument. So, Speaker, my point is simple. The very policy that introduced this tax is the budget statement and economic policy of government. for the year 2021. Yet, Mr. Speaker, if you are to look at the very budget statement, page 59, paragraph 260, there was nothing like LPG increase, a tax on LPG. And so, Mr. Speaker, an imposition of a tax with LPG, it is very worrying. Mr. Speaker, moving away from that, it is important for us to understand that not long ago, during the media review, our minister responsible for finance in the year 2019 appeared before us and said that, Mr. Speaker, there is the need for us to contribute for the purposes of paying energy sector obligations. Mr. Speaker, this House accepted it in good faith and granted our minister responsible for finance the opportunity to increase taxes for the purposes of settling the energy sector related expenditures. Mr. Speaker, within a year, or just about more than a year, the minister has come before us again, telling us that we should give him another opportunity to go and impose additional taxes for the same purposes. Why? Mr. Speaker, yet he has failed to tell us what the original one was used for. Mr. Speaker, that is where my difficulty is. Because I've given you a mandate, all of us voted by consensus to support you to raise that resources. And you've not accounted for it, and you are asking us to support you once again to raise additional revenue. The Speaker, to conclude on this matter, it has become apparent that this government sees petroleum as the major source of raising revenue. Major source of raising money. So anytime they need money, they just think like, go and impose taxes on petroleum. The Speaker, that is worrying.
I hold in my hand a proposal from the MPP government, led by His Excellency President Akufo-Addo, proposing that we should increase taxes on diesel, petrol, and LPG. Mr. Speaker, in 2015 December, I was in this house as the Deputy Minister responsible for power. I was here with Honorable Secretary. Our colleagues on the other side described the energy sector levies as obnoxious, as a nuisance levy, and went ahead to promise the people of Ghana that on assumption of office, under the able leadership of President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia, they will abolish this levy. Today, not only have they failed to abolish the levy, they are here to impoverish the already impoverished Ghanaian by increasing these levies. Mr. Speaker, in 2015, yes, when we were handing over in 2017, out of what we collected in 2016, we left a cash amount of 234 million cedis in the account. Over the past 4 years, this levy that they described as obnoxious, 2017, it accrued 3.1 billion. 2018, 3.5 billion. 2019, 3.7 billion. 2020, over 4 billion. So far, under the visionary and able leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President Akufo-Addo has received a colossal amount of more than 12 billion from the energy sector. Mr. Speaker, in the media review of 2019, as if this is not enough, the minister appeared before us and told us that the energy sector levies needed to be increased again. He increased diesel by 17.5%, increased petrol by 17%, and increased LPG by 8.7%. The rationale was that he needed this increment in order to deal with the energy sector payments. Mr. Speaker, 1 year down the lane, He is here again, asking us to increase diesel, increase petrol, and increase LPG. Mr. Speaker, if this is not a failure, then what is it?
F9.
And Dr. Bawumia owes us an apology as far as this country is concerned. Mr. Speaker, if President Akufo-Addo was in class 1, I tell you with this result, they will repeat it. Mr. Speaker, more importantly, these funds have not been managed well. For instance, under the energy sector levies, all the amounts accruing to the road fund, more than 2 billion of that amount has been withheld and has not been handed over to them. Mr. Speaker, I heard somebody saying it's never true. When we rise up to speak, we speak with facts. Mr. Speaker, in 2018, out of a total collection of 1.2 billion, 569 billion was withheld. In 2019, out of a collection of 1.5 billion, 895 million was withheld. In 2020, out of 1.8 billion, 900 million was withheld. In 2021, this year, they are withholding another $800 million. No wonder our roads are in such a poor and abysmal state as far as the state is concerned. 1.2 billion out of the 1.8. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my honourable colleague is again misleading this honourable House from so many angles. The amount that he is talking about is not true. There is no way that the ministry was given 2 billion from the amount he's talking about. And again, Mr. Speaker, he is creating the wrong and erroneous impression that President Akufo-Addo's government has visited upon this country West Rose in its history. Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge the other side and the NDC. I want to challenge them, and I can debate them at any time, any forum, that they left this country the West Road infrastructure in this country's history. So they should not create the impression that we have 5 roads upon this country. Road infrastructure
Honorable Minister,
so significant. I refer to the 2021 budget, and I'm quoting the page 206, Appendix 2B, Energy Road Fund Levy. The provisional outline is 1.8 billion. It's in the budget. This is not my budget. This is the budget read by the venerable majority leader, the Honorable Seche Mensabus. Then when you go to the classification in terms of expenditure, Mr. Speaker, when you go to expenditure, Mr. Speaker, when you go to page 207, Appendix 2C, Economic Classification of Central Government Expenditure, Provisional Outline, Road Fund, 544 million. So out of 1.8 billion, in the year of roads, they got only 544 million. Mr. Speaker, this is the state of Ghana's economy. From the budget. Under Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia as the chairman of the economic management team. Mr. Speaker, the world over, following the COVID-19 pandemic, what sensitive governments are doing is to rather help industry. It's rather cushion their citizenry. It's to rather pursue policies and measures that are proper and that will ameliorate the suffering of the ordinary Ghanaian. Mr. Speaker, what we are doing today is a plethora of draconian a multiplicity of draconian taxes that will put the ordinary Ghanaian in a state of melancholy. Mr. Speaker, let them point to me one country, Mr. Speaker, just one country that is imposing these harsh taxes. Just one country. Mr. Speaker, in Samina, in concluding, in winding up, Mr. Speaker, let me serve notice to our colleagues on the other side that even though we have about 4 years to elections, begin to write your handing over those because of it.
Now, some Ghanaians have been reacting to Parliament's approval of the 4 new taxes.
I'm a driver here. I'm driving here, but they increase the taxes. But with the drivers, they don't increase our the lorry fare for us. So now we are pleading for the government to do something about our fare. We want that they should increase the price for us.
So you increase the price?
Yeah, they should increase it for us.
Okay. Like they don't, you yourself, are you going to increase the price yourself?
Oh, me myself, I cannot.
Yes,
they should increase. They should increase for us because sometimes they increase the diesel price about 2 or 3 times, and we the driver do not increase our lorry fares for us. So the government should do something about it for us.
Why for chicken one no kono wa ye jeni wa for chicken wa ba pepa shi bia na jele mi fe wa loli fe angbe no fia no pia wa tani wo ho no kan ye ni wa angbe no prepaid angbe no fia na angbe no to ba fe time mami wa ye sha ocho
Mamu ayede nti ezempanyifo na hwe na na makofo si ano omomfa yese omomma sidie omonso omomma wo ba bi omonto omo no omonye yesa
ya fra me kofi me kani fite bla ya to abawie ya ko to abande o mo anto petrol mo ba ya to wie wa to mo 6 enti so to so a yenso ya beto yen first se si a koto o ye adwuma na koto petrol na skani nyina asa ne a wo de beja o yere ne nkwada kra o nya bi no asa ba o ti fie so a o nya adwuma ye enti na ma ye ne sa enti so to mo dia ya ne yenso ya beto yen fair no so free water and free electricity na azan no de ye first electricity first pa no me won sa home na bag mo na metua 32 cities free no ba na o say free no say a metua 85 and calculate share
me no ni ma yueji e won me sika awa ngma petrol na aka wodo no pu ka ngma no onu me shi ka ngma no wa meka wa enye ka wa ga no di ne ketati wo hiole 40 wo hiole onu me shi sibere wa dump na no wa e ka ngma no onu shi aka wo no kokra ni wo fe won agba ko wo fe no agba wo fe no
ebetima fire sisi ano oman mu ewo no man asitra na ewo mu yedi but yen youth no ayo oman mu no empanifo no omundwe ya ho edentina ma omundwe ya ho because situation ni problem na ye from ebi nka wo sanke bi ka o ma anka on be hu situation eden e course your system na one yenye Togo for yenye Nigeria for ye Ghana for ekoyi ebeka enkoyi eso ebeka taxes na ban sempanifo no mo dwen ya say youth na e wo ma ni mu no a citizen no say ye bra anka mo be bibia anka on be dwen wansa and common from school sense. Apart from school sense, no we used to know. Yeah, street now, yeah, street in this now, yeah, so fun. I'm on fire.
We need more work in Ghana. So if everybody is working, we can pay the tax. But there's no work. I don't think this tax will be this thing for Ghana to pay. So we need work. More work for Ghana. That one they call them indirect tax. That one is compulsory everybody to pay. I mean, I'm talking about the real tax that they are talking about. I don't think that tax will be possible. We need work.
Right, you just heard a number of persons speak, majority of whom are drivers, who complain that the increase in cost of fuel is going to affect the costs which they incur about their business. And they actually complain that they cannot increase transport fares as of now, because of course drivers do that in a unionized manner under the GPRTU umbrella. One driver actually said though that he will increase his charges on transport fares if the fuel price goes up again. He says that before the election there was no increase in fuel prices. Immediately after the election there was such an increase, and then he went on to say that the free water and free electricity from last year was fake. Let's move to other stories now. And the National Development Planning Commission, NDPC, says it has implemented fresh and far-reaching measures to prevent the recurrence of damning infractions identified by the Auditor General in the year 2016. The 2019 Auditor General's report, which covered infractions within the 2016 and 2019 period, highlighted financial anomalies, including 850,000 Ghana cedis, 616 spent on consultancy fees without official receipts, over 400,000 cedis spent on medical bills for food poisoning of staff which did not also have official receipts, plus an amount of 17,422 Ghana cedis scholarship as travel time and shipment allowance without supporting documents. The Commission, whilst admitting the infractions that occurred in 2016, revealed that major steps have been taken to repair the damage caused. The Director General of the Commission, Dr. Kojo Essiem Mensah Abrampa, has been speaking to my colleague, MFA Pao.
Once an audit query is made, it's incumbent upon the institution to respond. And it has to be in writing with all the evidence, so that, because it could shift from one auditor to another, and that's what exactly happened. The person who audited and came out with the queries, at the time that they were responding to, the person wasn't there to pick the information. Okay. So the information is presented, but what
information was provided?
Yes, because that was requested for. You do that before they conclude everything. So it's the communication. We did not. I'm very sure, and I'm very sure that because we've been going through the documents, looking for what NDPC presented. I've been chasing the previous, the former auditor and all those things, and we couldn't get that document because this is 2016. So implying that this particular document, which was requested and queried, wasn't provided. And once you don't provide it, you haven't answered. And therefore, it has to be published and taken up to the next level. Okay. So what we have done is that immediately, when that observation was made, the subsequent scholarships, this was applied because we were advised to pick a receipt. So the subsequent ones we've complied, but this particular one has not been taken up. Okay, yes, and I'm sure it's because of the communication, the time range, the different persons who have managed the audit, both at our side and also the person managing the desk over there, and that is it. But the person is here, the receipt has been provided, and I've insisted on that. I want to see the receipt myself to be able to satisfy. So yesterday we went to a crash meeting to look at go through all these processes to make sure that now we have the information. We put a paper on it and send it back to the Accountant General, Auditor General, that this is the information which should have been provided. Whether it was sent to you or not, it is not your problem at all. It is our problem with the communication. And this is a time lapse. There've been 3 different Director Generals in the process. We also had our head of administration, who is responsible for this. May he rest in peace. He died during the period. So there's been a bit of communication here and there.
Now, you've heard stories about people leaving their properties and no one dared touch them. This is still happening. The belief in ancestral or traditional worship is the main faith of the people in this community. The only Christian denomination allowed to practice in that community is the Roman Catholic Church. Even that, they have their share of opposition. We take you to the ancestral home for the people of the Achode in Shiari. It's the ancient town in the Nkwanta South municipality where no Pentecostal church is allowed to thrive for fear that they would indoctrinate the people to shun their beliefs. This is also the practice where the place where education is said to have started in the whole municipality. Peter Senu visited the community and sent this report.
In our Ghana Month series, we take you to an ancient town of Shiari in the Nkwanta South municipality, where traditional worship, the belief in ancestral deity, is the order of the day. The only church surviving in this community is the Roman Catholic Church. As for the Pentecostal churches, it's a no-go area for them. We take you in there and speak to the chief and some opinion leader as to exactly what accounts for this phenomenon. The traditional layout of this settlement is phenomenal. Built on this mountain over some 9 centuries ago, the main belief of the people in this community is traditional. Nana Obumbo Seura Yopura II is the paramount chief for the Achode traditional area. According to him, they migrated here due to war, and this is the safest place they have found so far.
Shiari is about 900 years old. Yeah, history tells us that we migrated from Ejiso to Afram Plains, then to our current location. You know, those days it's about war, and we are Guans, and you know the Guans. History also tells us that we are the original people of Ghana, and we didn't like war. So when war started, everybody was looking for a secured place to avoid war. That is why we found ourselves here. For now, it is not risky. It is normal to us because we are born here, bred here, everything here. So how people think it is difficult to move, we see it to be normal. We speak Guchode. Yeah, Guchode. And the tribe is Achode.
The belief in ancestral worship is paramount, as every home is dotted with one object of worship or the other. Our lenses were not allowed to capture every detail of that. Education in the Nkwanta South municipality is said to have started from this community. Prominent public officials in government under Dr. Kwame Nkrumah were said to have come from Shiari.
It's very true. You know, the first place for the Germans to colonize is Shiari. Then, when they handed over to the British, this is where education started in Nkwanta South. A.B. Kwete and Co. They were all serving under various governments, and they all hail from Shiari here.
Francis Kwame Longwa is the president of the Catholic Church in the community. He tells us why it is the Catholic Church that has the blessing of the people to practice their faith here. Even this does not go without opposition.
The Pentecostal churches are more against your traditional much more than any other thing.
The Pentecostal churches oppose our traditional practices. They make provocative comments about us.
But Catholics for no mobile no more far
The Catholics adopted a different method. That is why our elders have accepted the Catholic Church here. It is said that some Pentecostal churches come here for spiritual fortification and would not allow the churches to deceive them into turning away from their powers.
Our
elders say some Pentecostal pastors come to Shiari for powers, so they would not accept them. Even the Catholics here have their opposition. It is not easy. Nana Obumbo Seura Yopura II also confirms this assertion.
It is the Catholic Church because generally the Catholic Church dominated in Ghana long ago before the coming of other churches. So looking at the nature of whites, they always like a very serene environment. That is why they came to settle here and they started with the church activities. The other churches, they normally come for evangelism and those things. But becoming permanent and staying in the community is another issue to discuss. Other churches, normally the starters, normally come to look for power and those things to establish their churches. So there is that conflict between the traditionalists and the into bracket, the Christian community, let me put it that way. Because I'm a pagan, and you come to me to do certain things for you to establish your church. And you, the same person, come out to preach to me that my tradition is not good. Yours, that is better, I should follow yours. Of course, it will be very difficult for you to change me.
Because of this strong belief, no one takes what does not belong to him. These motorbikes are left at the foot of the mountain for as long as the owners care.
You are in your Okada station. Why parking a crewman in a parking motors?
This is not Okada station. It is a parking station for the entire community because we cannot take the motorbikes up there. There is no way anyone will take it because you will bring it back if you take one. This is why our elders do not accept any other church that will come and indoctrinate and adulterate our culture. My name is Peter Sanu for Joy News.
Let's move to other stories. And government is pledging to collaborate with teacher unions to resolve all outstanding matters regarding their conditions of service. This comes after the union issued an April 31 ultimatum for government to pay up their delayed allowances. Speaking on the sidelines of the launch of the 90th anniversary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei Educhum assured that the ministry was working with the unions to resolve the matter. My colleague Manuel Kranting was at that event and now reports.
It has always been a childhood dream to be a teacher. So when that dream was fulfilled, I was very happy that I'm a teacher because I'll be able to impact same knowledge given me to the children. So that is why I'm very happy to be a teacher.
I'm proud to be a teacher because I'm impacting knowledge and changing lives. Especially when I see my students climbing high in the teaching profession or other professions, I feel very proud.
Some teachers speaking about how proud they feel when they see their students climbing up the professional ladder. For them, the opportunity to impact the lives of other people is a real proof of service. In Ghana, much as teachers make up the pivot of professional development, stories abound about how some of them battle to make ends meet, especially those in the rural areas.
Teachers at the remote areas they don't have the best condition of service. Let me calm down. The fringe benefits as those teachers in the cities. So if governments will come to the aid of teachers at the remote areas, like something like allowances for them to enhance their standard of living.
Remuneration of teachers in the country. If you look at where the teachers in this country find themselves in teaching, accommodation for the teacher is a big challenge. Material that the teacher will use in working is a big challenge because presently we are implementing a new curriculum at the primary level. For the past 2 years, the teacher is using the manual without a textbook that will help the teacher to deliver effectively.
The remuneration of teachers is very, very bad. Yes, so you spend a lot of energy trying to impact knowledge, but what you get in return does not match. So I would say that it's a sacrificial job that we are doing. If you don't have the love for the work and you look at the remuneration, comparing the two, you see that you can't do much. But because of the love we have for the work, we are trying our best
to upgrade themselves, and instead of them to be promoted, it has taken long, almost getting to 3 years now. Most of them have not been promoted. Secondly, when you take the ranks from senior superintendent 2 coming to senior sup 1 before they get to the principal superintendent, as at now, their promotion has not even been said by the employers. And we are hoping that very soon the sector minister, in collaboration with the GS, will be able to roll up a roadmap to upgrade all those affected teachers.
From issues with their conditions of service through salary packages, the teacher unions have constantly lamented the delay by successive governments in dealing with their issues. The latest of these is an end of April 2021 ultimatum given to government over their responsibility allowance and promotion matters. Speaking on the sidelines of the launch of the 90th anniversary of the Ghana National Association, President of the union, Mrs. Philippa Larson, stressed that these issues must be settled to avoid any industrial action.
Because of some of the delays in implementing some of the decisions we take. The issue of the allowances, for instance, the responsibility allowance and the arrears and all that, they are issues that we have discussed over and over. And it's like we are getting frustrated and so disappointed. And that is how come we issued a statement. And we have given them up to the end of April. And if nothing is done about it, we'll come out and people will hear from us.
On his part, Minister of Education Dr. Yao Saiduchum said government was engaging with the teachers to resolve the matter.
Water is something that we need to celebrate. And today, as they celebrate 90th, the President of the Republic is saying that definitely teacher welfare is something that he's committed to. Last year, professional allowances were introduced and paid. This year, 1 teacher, 1 laptop is being implemented. What the President is saying is that teachers are the centerpiece of his education transformation agenda. I'm a teacher at the core. I've been a teacher for years. I'll work with the unions to resolve any outstanding issues.
Coming up in business, former Chief Executive of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, Dr. Daniel Sedo, questions the model of excessive borrowing by government to pay maturing debts, saying it's not a solution to debt management.
We borrow to pay for maturing debt, and that in itself, we're only prolonging or delaying the effect that it will have on us. The world will not get easier anytime soon.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Chief Executive of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority is questioning the model of excessive borrowing by government to pay maturing debt, saying it is not a solution to debt management. According to Dr. Daniel Sedo, the country's debt position and continuous deficit financing remain a major problem to the economy. More in the following report.
Speaking as one of the key guests at the UPSA Alumni Symposium on the 2021 budget, Dr. Sedo called on government to stop taking loans for consumption, but rather borrow to own productive assets. The event was graced by many alumni across the globe, including key personalities in both the public and private sector, in person or virtually. They shared perspectives on how to get the economy on a sound footing and create hope for the citizenry. Dr. Sedo said the country's economy should create employment through the utilization of productive assets.
The little contribution is that these are my productive areas, because if you look at the numbers critically, the borrowings are not in productive sectors. The borrowing, we are not sweating the borrowing well enough. And so because of that, the revenues that the borrowing should generate for us, they are not. And you see that we borrow to pay for maturing debt. And that in itself, we're only prolonging or delaying the effect that it will have on us. The world will not get easier anytime soon. It will be competitive, and we are not developing the human skills to even be competitive. We should be thinking of ventures that we can use our brains to do things and make a lot more money and then pay taxes to solve that. Again, I would say we should be looking at our costs. The expenses we generate in doing things are just unsustainable, and that is serious. The borrowing we have to stop at a certain point in time.
For his part, Director General of the Internal Audit Agency, Dr. Eric Oduro-Osai, said the 2021 budget failed to provide continuity plan towards economic recovery. According to him, the budget will rather overburden businesses than make economic gains.
The main challenges of this budget, as I see from my presentation, are as follows. The first one is that the budget is likely to put a lot of burden on citizens as well as businesses, because the innovations expected to be introduced under the budget will require that businesses modify their business processes to be able to take advantage of the opportunities created by the budget. Again, it is a challenge to the labor front as well as workers because of this perception of an implied freeze in salaries. That is also going to be a challenge. The budget did not provide a framework to carry citizens along. What is the role of citizens? What is the role of key stakeholders in ensuring the achievement of the budget? Is it that the budget is an Accra budget or a central budget? How does the local government see themselves in this budget? For the first time in the Fourth Republic, the district composite budget of district assemblies were not annexed to this budget. And I find it worrying. In that case, the people living in the various local governments do not see themselves in it.
And on the issue of government borrowing and our debt situation, Ghana was successful in raising about $3 billion in debt instruments on the international capital market. But the average cost of the bonds is a little above 8%. Analysts say the success of the bond doesn't mean the country's investment climate is the best. Rather, government is desperate for money to finance the budget. We'll bring you more business news later. Up next, sports.